Hey guys, it's John. You're on the JRB Tree Climbing channel and you're on the playlist, the JRB Hitch. Earlier in this playlist, a few months ago, I introduced a hitch that I devised, not fully expecting that it was unique. And in this process of discovery and submission around the world, it turns out that there's, to this date, no evidence that this is a named knot. So we're going to go ahead and keep on using it and go with that name, the JRB Hitch. My needs were a hitch which is strong, safe, and secure for life safety applications, but which is a quick release hitch. So right now I'm wearing my saddle and I've got this strand loaded with my body weight. And I've got it obviously wrapped around the tree trunk, and in a situation where this was used as a tether or a rappel device or both, at the appropriate time, if I pull on the other side, it will release. Now, when loaded, it has a really nice feature with my full body weight on it. If I try to pull this with all of the strength in my right hand, I can't move it. Both hands, I can just start to move it. But let's talk about that. It's locked. So it's locked in a couple of fashions. So the first point is I've got a beaner on that loop. So quite obviously, I couldn't pull this through with the beaner engaged. However, when I unload it, so let's say I rappelled to the bottom of the tree, and before I rappel, I remove my locking beaner, and I carefully monitor the state of the hitch as I rappel. When I get to the bottom of the tree, and when I unload the hitch, now a simple tug on this line. I'm going to do it slowly. You can see what happens, but it disappears. So it's an exploding hitch. Now, I'm going to tell you that using a quick release hitch or an exploding hitch for rappel operation is kind of an aggressive move. So if you decide to do what I'm doing here, or to use this hitch or any quick release hitch in a rappel operation, you've got to make sure that you understand you take the responsibility for tying it properly, doing your homework, and making sure that everything is done properly, because our life is quite literally on the line. So let me show you in greater detail how I tie the hitch and load it. Okay, so first point is there's a load line and a release line, and I've adopted the convention that the left side is the load line and the right side is the release line. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so you can watch this get tied. Left is the load, it's attached to my saddle. Right is released, and it's slack. Take that, I pass it around the tree from left to right. When it gets around the tree, I pinch the load line with the top of that bite. I can feel around the tree and there's no overlap of that line. I then reach through the original bite and bring out a bite of the release line. That's going to form my trigger mechanism. I fold that over the two lines. Working with the release line now, it goes, doing my best to keep my fingers out of your field of view, goes up and over that bite, crossing it, then back through the original bite, if you're familiar with the highwayman's hitch, what we've effectively done is actually used a highwayman's hitch inside of the JRB hitch to secure this bite. But due to the geometry and inner forces of the hitch, when that's drawn together, it's extremely secure and self-jamming under load. So with this knot in this configuration, what I do now, it's tied, now I need to dress it and set it. And I do that in this fashion. I'm going to reorient here. I grab a nice healthy bite about 12 inches with my right hand, and with my left hand I grab hold of the load line, and in a ratcheting fashion, a seesaw motion with my left and right hand, I draw that tight to the tree. And for additional security, I will take this release loop, this bite which forms a release loop, and I'll tuck it over and down through both strands of the line. And as you saw in the introduction, that can be locked with a beaner. And now ready to take load. I am going to zoom in, best of my limited ability, on the hitch so you can better inspect its properties. When you tie it, the release loop passes through a loop, and that passes through a loop. It's quite symmetrical and easy to inspect. And I always make sure I pass my hands around the back to make sure there's no slack, and it's nice and snug. And I've done an extensive amount of testing even without this bite passed through here. I'll do a quick demonstration of that to show how well it jams. Now I've got it loaded with my body weight. Can't really move that. Let's go ahead and bring this bite out with it unloaded. Let's take this beaner off. Let's go ahead and load it with my body weight in this fashion. So my full body weight is on the line. And now if I try to pull this again, with my right hand, I can move it. So when this goes, I would be released. But it has some nice, it gets tight as you try to get through there. And so it self-jams really well under load, but when I unload it, releases quite easily. Okay, let's zoom back out and tie that again. Rope where the left is my load and the right is my release line. Pass that around the tree. Touch the upper lines together. Reach through, pull a small bite out, fold it over. With the release line, pass it up and around that bite. And then, still working with the release line, up and through that bite. So that's the hitch. Let's dress it and set it. And ready to take load. In a rappel situation or in a hunting situation, I would use it in this fashion. I would have it locked while I'm on my sit. When I'm ready to rappel, don't forget to remove your lock. Rappel down the tree. While I'm rappelling down the tree, I am always monitoring the rope, making sure I'm never accidentally getting, tugging on the release line. Of course, the release line doesn't need to be a rope. You could have a beaner here, and that's attached to a piece of paracord or other string. If you don't want to use rope for the whole thing, it'll still release just as easily. But when you're on the ground and the load has been removed, at that juncture, with your weight off it no longer is jammed, and so simply tugging on the release line will go ahead and remove the hitch. So there you have it. That's how I tie, dress, set, and lock the JRB hitch for purposes of rappel. Please be careful and stay safe. Thank you.